Diane Abbott basically said there, does this contest really need another 40-something white man?
Well, in some ways, maybe it's a fair point, but I think there's certainly the contest benefits for Diane coming in. She'll certainly shake things up and shake us all up a little bit, I'm sure.
Now, what distinguishes you then from Ed and David Miliband?
Well, actually, I think I am a different voice in the campaign. I do bring a different perspective on things. I have been a Labour Party member for 25 years. I represent the seat where I grew up, and I think I've got an ability to speak to people who have lost faith with Labour, and that's very much what I want to do in my pitch to run as a candidate. I will run on the very simple theme, reconnecting Labour, and I believe I've always kept in touch with my roots and my feet on the ground, and I can connect with the people who sadly have lost faith with the party in recent times.
But is that any different to what your colleagues are saying? What is going to really mark you out?
Well, what's going to mark me out is how I make that pitch. I'm saying that we need to reconnect Labour. We need to bring back the whole Labour family back together
and why are you
re-establish a sense.
Why are you better placed to do that?
Well, obviously that will be for people to judge on the basis of what we say. All I can do is speak about my own merits. I have always been a party loyalist. Sometimes people criticise me for being so, but I was very loyal to Tony Blair and equally loyal to Gordon Brown. And I hope I represent a unifying figure in the Labour Party. I'm a Labour person through and through. I've always put the party first, and I think that's important as we go forward. As I say, as we try to bring back the Labour family after the stresses and strains of 13 years in government, it's inevitable that relationships will be tested in our movement.
Okay,
and the important thing now is to bring people back to a common purpose.
But you say you were loyal to Tony Blair and to Gordon Brown, and your career certainly flourished in that whole period from 1997. You're now saying in your article in the Mirror that we were in denial about the effects of immigration on wages, housing and antisocial behaviour in places where life was harder. Well, how many years have you been in denial for?
Well, let me just roll you back a moment and just say I began my article today by saying that I won't be disowning Labour's record as I make my arguments. Actually, I'm very proud of that record, and I obviously I'm very proud of the progress we made in the National Health Service, but more than that, just on how we've changed education in this country. So I will not be disowning Labour's record, but that doesn't mean we don't bring honesty to this and be honest with ourselves about where we got it wrong. And I think it is the case that we weren't listening closely enough to communities that were most affected by the rapid change that came with immigration. And that's certainly the true in my own community in Lee. And I accept that. I hold my hands up and say we should have listened more closely as to how the effect that immigration was having on stable communities.
Okay.
And that's a very I think it's very important that we do that. Otherwise, people won't listen to us again. We have to acknowledge where we should have done things differently.
But you say you're not disowning the past. You also say the 10p tax ban was a bad place for Labour to be. I mean, someone might say, well, why didn't you resign at the time if you felt so strongly about it?
Well, of course, in government, lots of decisions were made, and we're a team effort, and we stand behind the decisions that we made. But you can look back in retrospect and say, did we get that one right? And I'm saying quite clearly, I don't think we did get that one right, because it sent a message to people, particularly people in lower paid jobs or women particularly who were affected with smaller pensions, that Labour wasn't standing by their side. When they looked to see a Labour government supporting them, I think it sent a message that they felt, well, Labour's not with me. And I do single that change out as symbolic. I do think that it deeply disappointed people who would look to Labour to support people in that position. And
okay.
I think it's right for me to acknowledge that. I don't think people would accept it if I came on and was a cheerleader for every single thing we did. I'm proud of what we did, but to move on, we must first acknowledge where people felt there was real unfairness. And I've acknowledged some of those things today because I want to be, if only by acknowledging those unfairnesses do people start to listen to Labour again.
OK. Andy Burnham, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm still trying to work out which of Diane Abbott's rivals went to private school.
Well, certainly
the Miliband,
he didn't. The Miliband brothers
went